A famous explorer once said that the extraordinary is in what we do, not who we are. I'd finally set out to make my mark, to find adventure. But instead, adventure found me.
Tomb Raider 2013 is a third-person action-adventure story-driven game developed by Crystal Dynamics. It serves as a reboot and reconstructs the origins of Lara Croft. I've previously played this game and also completed it back in 2013 when it first came out, but for today's video I thought I'd share my honest thoughts, feelings and opinions, maybe to help you guys that haven't actually played this game before, or maybe for you guys that are interested in having a refresher. Either way, I hope you enjoyed today's video and let's get into the story. Due to the nature of an origin story, we are introduced to a very inexperienced Lara, who is yet to realize her potential as the Tomb Raider, and although she has the traits of intelligence and archaeological knowledge, she is still a far away from the battle-hardened versions that we get in the games and previous movies and their adaptations. The story arc follows her transformation, and what I love about the story so much is the certain sense of vulnerability in the fact that she's unsure about herself, the fact that she feels guilty about the events that occurred before you start the journey, the hard decisions that she has to face in order to realize her potential in a do-or-die situation and a fight for survival. The story narrative does an amazing job at doing all this, as well as showing her emotional and physical responses to the actual conflict, and this is perfectly echoed and articulated in character-defining moments where, say, she has to take a life for the first time. At the start, she is not a perfect character, she has flaws. She has to learn to overcome the diversity and gain strength in order to become the Tomb Raider. She doesn't start off as this badass woman that can do everything. In fact, she spends a lot of the game actually in a state of panic, a state of shock, and only by stepping up, gaining courage and facing her fears and standing up for others that she's trying to protect, only then she's empowered enough to become the iconic character that we have actually known throughout the years. The overall story arc is definitely far from shallow. Even though this was my second time playing the game through, there wasn't even one moment where I wanted to skip one cutscene, because this game does an excellent job at making the characters relatable and really making the person playing feel invested. The game isn't just subject to the cinematic cutscenes or even the gameplay cutscenes. The story does expand into the game world. This is by artifacts and journals that the player can interact with. They are voice acted, which helps keep the atmosphere, and the contents of them do build on both the story and the lore. One of the highlights and the strengths of Tomb Raider 2013 is definitely the story and just how well executed it is. But let's move on now to the next subject, which is gameplay. Okay, so I want to share my negatives about the gameplay first, and this is obviously just my opinion. I do feel like there's an overuse of QuickTime events in this game. Like, I really wouldn't mind it if they didn't do it as much, but hey, it's like literally every defining moment, it just feels like they inserted a QuickTime event. And personally, I would just be as happy or more happy to just watch the cutscene. I also think that this game is a little bit too easy even on the harder difficulties. Now, for me, that is a little bit of a grey area. I believe that that's good for accessibility, but can be a little bit of a down point for us more experienced gamers, and the ones that want the challenge. It's not really helped by the fact that the AI can be a bit stupid at times, and it is really easy to just clear a load of enemies. And as long as you're not standing out in the open, you will completely dominate the enemies, especially with the silence and the stealth of killing with the bow. Also, there is less puzzle elements than I would have liked to see in this game. For a Tomb Raider, there is tombs, but they're kinda small, kinda easy to figure out. They are certainly not the focus in this game, not that they need to be, because there are really good elements to the gameplay that we will talk about. Although this is some of the negatives that I feel about this game, when you think about it, they're actually really superficial. They're certainly not a deal breaker when we compare it to the good that we are about to talk about. I'm sorry, my descriptive power is not very grandiose, is it? But you know what is empowering and grandiose? That, my friend, is the third-person action combat in this game. Especially using the bow. I love using the bow in this game. It's all about those long-range headshots, man, you do it for days. It is literally one of the most satisfying things ever. If you pair that with the movement system as well as the verticality of the map design takes full advantage of the advanced bow mechanics to approach things in different and unique ways every time you play the game through. This means that it has loads of replayability, and I love the sense of duality and synchronization between you and Lara. As the player, you're unlocking abilities as she gets more experienced, and you really feel like you're on the journey with her as you play, because Lara cannot physically attack anyone at the start, but then later down the line she becomes a complete badass and you unlock the ability to start doing physical attacks. I really love the third person exploration, and the game does have a linear design in places but also has some real open environments that are just sheer eye candy and represent the game so well. It has held up nicely in the graphical department and also the audio design, and during the gameplay it almost feels cinematic in places, and it truly is an enriching gameplay experience when you're doing that third person combat, when you're navigating the game world. The way the enemies interact with you, well, when they're not acting stupid, is all fantastic. Although the enemy types are not the most diverse bunch that I've come across, they are certainly interesting and engaging to actually fight. Other noteworthy stuff from the gameplay is also fast travel. If you leave a location, you can go back to it in order to collect the collectibles, because there is a good amount of secret areas and locations, as well as the tombs that we did mention before. There's also salvage and scrap around in order to do upgrades to your weapons, and also a leveling and progression system that is pretty decent. I actually really like the progression system within this game because it doesn't overdo it. It introduces the abilities at a good rate, and this is an origin story, so it wouldn't make sense if she has too many abilities going on all at the same time. The gameplay really does feel thought out and planned out to the story, and it actually feels maybe they wrote the story first and knew exactly everything that was going to happen and then based the gameplay around it, which is an absolutely fantastic way of doing a story-driven game such as this. Oh, and also there is a multiplayer within the gameplay, although I didn't play it. Sorry about that. I found this game equally good to play using a control pad as well as keyboard and mouse. In the game footage I am actually using a keyboard and mouse this time around. It is a great experience either way. So at this point of the video, it's obviously going to be no surprise to anyone really that I enjoyed this game, that I do recommend it. I personally think this is probably one of the best Tomb Raider games. I think the devs did a fantastic job at making us relatable in the story. Throughout the gameplay, I feel really engaged. There's not a moment where I feel like this is boring. I do wish it was a little bit harder for multiple playthrough reasons, but other than that, I think it has great accessibility, great function and usability with no performance issues whatsoever. If you have the recommended specs for this game, well, you're going to run it perfectly fine. I also do like the original version over the enhanced version. To me, Lara and the environment just looks a lot better. I think they overdid it with the enhanced version. I don't know what it is about it. I don't really like it though. Maybe because I originally experienced it this way and I'm just true to that. I guess that's the power of nostalgia tinted glasses. And I will also like to mention that this game does frequently go on sale. You can pick it up fairly cheap. I actually think that this game fits into a lot of people's demographics. And that is my final thoughts on Tomb Raider 2013. My honest thoughts, feelings and opinions on this game. If you enjoyed today's video, then please smash that like button for me. Also get subscribed to the channel if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified to any of the Any Good series and the continuation of it. And also don't forget to share your own opinion on this game down below in the comments. You'll be helping someone out who's considering picking up the game, or maybe someone that wants to revisit it. Also don't forget that I have a Discord community for you all to join for like-minded gamers, and I appreciate all the support and the help that I've been getting recently, and I'm feeling really good that we will hit that goal of 10k subscribers by the end of the year. Anyway, that's gonna do it from me. I've been Tech from Tech Evolved, and I'll see ya in the next video. Oh, bye. What is that? Oh, that's hilarious.